What's going on, man?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for doing this. I'm going to thank you before you thank me.
You beat me to it, yeah. I want to thank you. This is an awesome thing.
It is very interesting how now people are like podcasting's in. So when I ask people to do podcasts, it's not like a weird thing anymore.
Well, I'm glad that you get that response.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of times we'll call people and they're like, wait, what? A podcast?
Yeah.
I do a podcast. You listen to them all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really listen to podcasts. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So we're always oftentimes trying to find people who see the value in it. But from my side, having seen not just this content, but so much of the content you do, it's an honor to be here.
Appreciate it, man. Well, I know who you are, but why don't you let everyone else know who you are?
My name is Dex Alexander. I'm partner at Black Roses and Legible.org. And we are proud downtown Main Street Riverside business. We love every second of it. It's been an awesome ride so far.
For sure. I will say the podcast has opened me up to like more people, right? Because now I'm looking for people to do podcasts with that I know would like want to do one.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, oh, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And you don't almost, it's like, whoa, like your eyes open up to like, man, Riverside has a lot of people doing it that you're just not paying attention to until you look for them.
A lot of people doing some really cool stuff. And, you know, we'll make this assumption it could possibly be completely wrong. But just, you know, seeing the content and that sort of stuff that you do, you're quite a bit more outgoing, I would assume, than I am. And so podcasts are a way for me to actually just get out and meet people. Like the beauty of our partnership, Justin knows everybody. Everybody loves him. He's a big, huge teddy bear. He's brilliant. He's just a great partner. Part of the reason is it really affords me the opportunity to stay, sort of in the cut on the side, sort of doing other stuff. And so it takes like official gatherings for me to get out and meet people.
So you want to hear a funny thing? I hate talking to people. I swear on my life, I hate it more than life itself.
Yeah.
But like, I just know, like, I have that like switch. I know I have to turn it on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I had to do a dinner last night at Victoria Club because I'm the new members committee, and anyone under the age of like 50, they're like, hey, you're the youngest person here. You got to have dinner with them. And I'm like, every time I go into them, I'm like, man, okay, here we go. And then it's like 10 minutes into it, things are moving, shaking. Awesome. And then I go, man, I hate talking to the people like you do. Like, you're like, I'm like, dude, the hard part is like, I just hate bugging people.
Yeah.
So you were asking me earlier before we started, like, why do social? Because I hate bugging people, right? Social I can put out in the world, and then you can reach out to me.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to bang on your door. I don't want to call you. Like, I want you to, like, I'm here. Like, whenever you know, whenever you need what I do, like, hit me up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what made you guys start your marketing company, and why Riverside?
Yeah. So I'll sort of go in reverse order. Why Riverside? So I was born and raised in Inglewood, South Central LA, during the 80s, 90s, when it was sort of the murder capital of
now it's like
country.
A cool place.
It is. It's like mad hipster, and it's got, you know, a football stadium, and like my mom's in a private community apartment now. Whereas before, our street, you know, there was like 5 crack houses on our block that essentially, like, there was an entrance and an exit on either side of the street. Cars would be lined up. You know, I was 9 or 10 years old. So that's where I grew up, born and raised. I came out to Riverside in 95 to go to Cal Baptist. And have just been here ever since. Met my wife here, fell in love, started a family, all of that sort of stuff. And so I was on staff at a church here locally, and we had, my department alone had a big, huge staff. We did a ton of stuff. And I had a lot of friends that were starting businesses, or a lot of friends that were involved in the church world, or a lot of friends that were, you know, nonprofits, just people with big ideas that were reaching out to me to go, hey, we'd love to, I know you know how to do this. Is there a way you can help me? And I just literally couldn't. I mean, we were just going a mile a minute over there, and I realized that I could offer a better service if I didn't just help one place, but if I was one place that could help a lot of places. And so that was really the start of it. I had been thinking about this idea for a really long time, and it took my wife to go, will you just stop thinking about it and do it?
Just pull the trigger.
Yeah, just do it, you know? And so I sort of thought about, you know, where I was kind of in my career arc, and I thought, man, if I've got another solid, like, 30 years, what do I want to put that 30 years to? And this was it, And so my friends were like, "Yeah, let's go. We're gonna do it." Like,
is that how you met Justin over there?
Yeah, Justin. Yeah. All of us partners were all on staff together. And each person sort of independently has their own sort of story of why the timing was why the timing was right for them. But for us collectively, it's because we worked together and trusted each other as much as we did. And so being able to go out and start a company, it requires that. I mean, of all of the stuff that we do, our partnership is the thing that we work at
for sure
the hardest. It's the most difficult. It's the most rewarding. It is, equal parts working for yourself, but also working for other people, wanting to see other people succeed, wanting to be sure that other people are platformed, celebrating other people, calling each other. We're in this real sort of mode right now of like analyzing accountability. What does it look like to be more accountable to each other? So the partnership is as much the business as anything else. But it is also the most rewarding, like when it works, when we celebrate together.
For sure, man. And I think it's like when you find that like nucleus, right? Yeah. Like I don't think people that don't work in there do not realize how hard that is to find.
Yeah.
Right? It is so hard to find.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to work on that so much because it can go away so easy.
Absolutely.
And like, we look at a lot of sports teams. That's how I grew up in sports or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like Shaq and Kobe. It's like, dude, you guys could have won so much more. How could not someone get in someone's like, yo, just chill. Just chill. Like, bro, we could win a lot. Just chill. And people don't realize that is the hardest thing to do.
It's the hardest thing. And that extends throughout business practice in general. That balance, I talk about this balance of humility and hubris is really what it takes to do well in business. You need to both be able to see yourself well and go, okay, here's where I'm short. Here's where I'm, where I do great. Here's the places that I actually need help, that humility side. And then the hubris side of like, I can take on the world. Like, just bring on the next problem.
Isn't
What's
it funny?
The next hill?
Yeah, isn't it funny? You have to be like the most confident person in the world, but also like humbling yourself. Like, I'm not awesome, but I need help here.
Yeah, like that, the balance of those two. And you start to see when businesses crumble, when leaders fall, is oftentimes that some version of that is way out of balance. They're way self-conscious. They don't think they can do it, and the world just collapses on them. Or they go, I don't need anybody else. Just let me go out and figure it out, and then the world collapses on. That balance between those two is one of the things that I love about partnership versus if I were like a sole proprietor just running on my own, I'd probably run myself into the ground. Like,
well, that's the thing, because we're not meant to do everything. And we just can't. And I think that's where a lot of business owners make mistakes, is that they are good at their business, but maybe not good at marketing or CPA work or hiring people or this. And they want to have their hands on everything because, we're A-type personalities and we want control. And then it's like, dude, you're just not good at that.
Yeah, a big part of what we do, I mean, we sort of get tossed into the marketing realm, which is definitely a portion of what we do. But a big part of what we do is try to come alongside business owners, come alongside leaders, hear where their heart is. Like, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What keeps you up at night? What's the thing that you would do? We call it our puppy test. If there was a puppy between you and your goal, like, would you kill the puppy for that? And if so, like, what's that thing that? And I love puppies. I'm a dog guy. So, but what would you do that you would just go out of your way to do it? Well, if we can find that thing, then we can help to unencumber people from all the rest of it. From worrying about the finances, worrying about social media, worrying about, growth, worrying about organizational structure, or like all of that sort of stuff. We can help come alongside for a lot of those things. And that is what gets me out of bed. Like, I love hearing when people have big dreams, big ideas, small budgets, no support. It's just the crazy, like, nobody thinks I can do this. That's when I'm usually like, all right, tell me more. Like, exactly. Like, what else?
Well, I mean, shoot, my parents thought I was crazy when I opened this place up. They're like, what are you doing, dude? And I'm like, just, it'll work. Just like, believe in me for 1 second. Like,
so I promise I wouldn't ask you any questions, but I'm curious now that you said that. Was it, what was the thing? Because parents are oftentimes like the closest to you. They both like have seen you grow, were a part of it, all that sort of stuff. But they're also the ones that care about you the most and sort of want to keep you from risk. What was the thing that pushed you past like that particular statement?
Like, oh, okay. So this is very aggressive, and my parents do know this. Like, you're on Team Adam or you're not. Like, if you're not on Team Adam, get out of my life. I have a small circle of people, and I have no problem cutting my family out of my life. Like, I have a goal. I'm going to reach that goal. I'm unstoppable. and you need to be on my team because I'm on your team. And everyone around me, we're on each other's teams, and we want everyone to win.
Yeah.
Whatever your goal is. I used to call it the team thing, right? Like I'd always be like, the problem is, are you LeBron or are you a six man? You need to figure out who you are in that team.
Right.
And the six man gets a ring just like LeBron does.
Right.
But if the six man trying to be like LeBron, he's not.
Right.
Or you're the trainer, or you're the coach. Who are you on the team? And we're all here to win. And I need to find out what's your championship, and how can I help you win that championship?
Yeah.
And you should be wanting to know what my championship, and you can help me get that championship.
Yeah.
So that's really,
it's legit.
really what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because I'm not like, I got one of these, man. Seriously, I got one life.
Yeah.
And I want to do something epic. Maybe that's why I do so many of these things. Like I love having interesting conversations with interesting people. Like I'm searching for interesting people to talk to.
Yeah.
Because then my group gets more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that's the problem why a lot of people, like, even though I live on social, I think a lot of people beef on social or get sucked into it because they're not busy enough, right? Like I'm over here, like I don't live online. Like I do my content, I get in and get out.
Yeah.
My job is okay. What else? Like I always say, like I don't got time to worry about that.
Right.
I don't got time to worry about that. I got other time to worry about other things.
Yeah, and you do it smart. I mean, social is a part of your strategy.
Yeah.
It's not a part of your escape.
It's not my
a part
life.
Of your getaway.
No.
It's not how you have fun.
No.
It's not. It's like I'm
here to work. I mean,
yeah.
I post for work. I get out, right? And like my close friends, if I want to know what's going on, I just call them.
Yeah.
I'm a big call guy. I hate texting more than anything else in this world.
Yeah.
I hate texting.
Yeah.
I call people all the time.
Yeah.
I have buddies that'll text me and they know I'm going to call them. I hate texting so much. I'm the worst texter in the world.
Well, you got my number now.
Man, perfect. So that's like, I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that I'm so confident in myself that like I want to make you confident. I want to rub my confidence on you, right? Like I believe in you. I don't need anyone to believe in me. I got me.
Right.
How can I help you?
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, and everything happens for a reason, man.
Sure.
Seriously, like, I mean, I never would have thought I'd be here.
Yeah.
I was engaged. I had a life, and I thought I was gonna be a major league umpire. And 27, it's all over. And then me and my fiance break up, and now I'm like living on my buddy's floor in Beaumont, and it's like, and now I'm here.
Right.
So it's like, but all those things happen to get me ready for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thanks, man.
So I've got a million other questions,
Yeah.
but
So let me ask you this question.
I
I want to ask you this question
Yeah.
for being a marketing company, because I'm not a marketer. I'm a guy that I always say I'm a guy that has a camera, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Do you get so frustrated with the world that we live in on Instagram and how everyone is a social media expert, and you just have to realize you're just a hot chick, and that's why you get likes? Am I the only one that thinks that?
No, you are definitely on to something. I think it's even larger than that, and a part of the reason that we operate the way that we operate. So Black Roses works with very little marketing of ourselves. And if you go to our website, blackroses.com, all you see on there is our manifesto. Here's what we believe.
Yeah.
Shoot us an email. And the reason is because a part of what we think our work is, it has to be a referendum on marketing itself, because marketing itself is broken, partly for the reason that you described.
Yeah.
Just this the easy, here's a person, they've got a lot of followers, cut them a check, send them a product, or do whatever. Now they're an influencer. And we all know influence is way bigger than that, like actual influence.
True
right?
influence.
True influence is way bigger than that. And so that's the social media piece. But even just marketing companies, it really is one of the places that other businesses get duped
all
easiest.
The time. Yeah.
Is by marketing companies and by marketing agencies. And so a part of our entrance into marketing is a referendum against marketing itself. It's a statement against marketing itself.
That's why we like each other, because I hate real estate agents.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, we have a series of sort of internal principles, things that we go by that stand in opposition to a lot of people in our industry, a lot of folks in our industry. You'll see the company's name, the marketing agency's name as big and as broad as you'll see the company's name that they're working for. That's wrong. That's not how it should work. We like to talk about our business model is very much in the shadows, right? It's how do we stand back in the side? How do we promote the brilliance of the clients that we work with? And they know that we were a part of helping to build that, but their customers shouldn't know that.
Yeah.
Because long term, their customers, what we're trying to do is build trust between customer and company. They don't need us as a middleman. Like you can trust this company because you trust Black Roses. That's not how it works. You should trust this company. The company should trust Black Roses. So so a lot of what we do is a referendum against the industry itself, specifically here in Riverside. It's unfortunate. We were talking about this before. You know, a lot of Riverside is used to being underserved, and companies fall into that boat as well. They've been used to being underserved here in Riverside, and so we're here to fight against that.
Do you feel like because of the words that people say, ClickFunnels, Instagram ad, blah, 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 whatever, you know, all the key words that anyone you can drop, that these people just don't, they think social's like so out of their realm that they're like, oh, this person knows ClickFunnels. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you're right. I do need ClickFunnels and hire you. And yeah. I love when people call me and they're like, we can get you $5 a lead. I'm like, listen, dude, if that lead turns into a $10,000 deal, I'd rather you charge me 3 Gs. Right. I'm like, really? And I'm like, yes, I'd rather you charge me $3,000.
Well, you know, one of the challenges is that, you know, ClickFunnels, social media, that's not always the best strategy for people.
I think brand. You guys really work on brand. I think brand is. I believe in brand. I believe ClickFunnels. Listen, if you're selling a T-shirt, maybe they work, right?
Yeah.
But like big items, brand is what will separate you.
So our companies are strategy first, meaning most marketing agencies are born out of a product. They are designers. They are computer programmers, web developers, and this sort of stuff. And so for them, the solution is whatever their product is. The solution is design. The solution is clicks per view. The solution is whatever their particular product is. We don't have a product. Our product is brains. Our product is market analysis, like gut assumptions, and really our even more so than market analysis, which we do really from just like an individual. We're all kind of news and information junkies. The real thing that we do is we get to the heart and to the core of, again, like what is that thing? We say what we do is called building brands with character, which means that, you know, our whole entire philosophy sort of goes around these real simple principles. You understanding your convictions, you understanding your context, you understanding where confusion lies, you understanding sorry, I'm blanking on all of my C's. How to build consistency. I mean, we have these principles that we work by, and then we work with you to figure out, okay, what are these things? So if we can answer these things for you, you'll endure highs and lows because you're doing the one thing that you were made to do. I was just listening to the story of the difference between Patagonia and North Face, and how those two companies started off with two guys who knew each other. And then at one point, their independent values separated them into two different directions. Patagonia is one of those companies that'll say, you want one of our jackets, it's going to cost you $600, but it's going to be the best $600 that you've ever spent. Why? Not necessarily because of the materials and the rest of that, but because our values state that we are going to build the best possible product for people to enjoy outdoors. That's what our values are, and we're going to continue to do that. And when the zipper breaks, send it back to us. If you don't feel like you want it anymore, put it up on our own resale site. That has been the thing that has driven them. Most people think that their company is too small, our product is not as significant to be able to make some of the same choices that Nike makes or that Patagonia makes or that any of these big names that we all know, to make some of those same choices. But it actually takes those choices at the onset, at the beginning. The guy who started Patagonia went for an outdoors trip down to Patagonia, realized that it was completely changing, that it was modernizing, and he hated the idea of that. Let's start a company, remind people of why this place is special, and then give money to be able to support special places. That's a brand with character, right? That's a values-based brand. So when we start talking about with companies and with businesses, we're not product first, we're values first. Let's get to that sort of thing. And then once we know that, the world is your oyster. Well, what do you want to do after that? Because you can succeed still to this day. There's companies that are succeeding with a billboard strategy.
Yeah.
For as low as the return is on printed materials going to people's houses, there's still companies that are succeeding with printed materials going to people's houses. So social is a big, huge deal. The cost is just effort and work versus the exposure, which could be exponential. Obviously, you can target ads and that sort of stuff and spend money on it. But, for the average person, the cost for exposure is a lot lower. But it's not always in the best interest of every single company. And so from our side, we don't walk into client engagements with assumptions of here's what you should be doing. Instead, we know in the backs of our minds, there's a lot of things that can work. Let's try to figure out what the best application for this client is. And then how do we help expose that going forward? Especially as it relates to geography, like Riverside. The thing that we're really trying to help work on with people is actual like space. How do you use space now post-COVID? How can you be a great restaurant, a great bar? How can you be a company that is actually, that requires people to show up to your place? How can you do that well through COVID and post-COVID? That's going to be a big, huge deal. Social factors into that from an information standpoint, but social will only get people to the door. Once they're at the door,
it's the experience that keeps them in.
What's the experience that gets you there? So there's a lot more that factors into it.
For sure.
And most companies now that will say, yep, we're a marketing company, they sort of have the product that they're pushing. Our product is strategy, is one-off bespoke strategy for each and every client that starts from their passions and builds up, to whatever sort of engagement we're trying to get for them.
I know it's funny. A lot of people at each other like, are you on TikTok? Do you do this? I'm like, I'm just trying to still get Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube down, right?
Yeah.
I don't need TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't dance.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, that doesn't fit my brand.
Yeah.
I said, it could fit your brand, and if you think that's what you can do every single day, great. But if I start a TikTok, I would do one every 6 months, and that doesn't work for me.
There is a great way to do it, and we actually, we have an employee on staff, and that's really her job is engagement, social media, copy, a whole strategy behind, how we do it for clients that use it, but not all of our clients use it. And for me personally, like my personal brand, what people know about me personally, some of it has to do with Instagram, but I'm really more of like a voyeur on Instagram. Like I'm trying to see what other people are doing, high five. I mean, that's sort of how we met, just sort of seeing something and being like, dude, that's good job. Like I do that more than I write about myself, because I am typically, the times that I'm busiest are the 3, 4, 5 weeks that I don't post anything
100%.
at all.
I tell people all the time, I go, dude, you know when I'm really busy?
Right.
When you don't see me.
When you don't see me on there. And then I'll remember like, oh, it's my daughter's birthday, or it's Valentine's Day, I better put something up.
That's the funny thing is I'm the opposite. Holidays, nothing.
Yeah.
No family, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, dude, I don't even go. Like no photo posts, nothing. It's done.
Yeah, but I quickly look to, anytime I hear about new technology, I always jump in and grab my name, no matter what it is, because I just don't want Dex Alexander. I don't want that to go to anybody else. So I'm always jumping in and grabbing that. But then I spend like no time on it. So I've got a lot of social media accounts, but I spend very little time on it, because for me, I do my best work over a meal, with a drink, looking in people's eyes, trying to figure out, what it is. And usually if we serve a client well, they tell a friend of theirs, or they tell somebody who's in a similar situation, hey, I was in a problem, these guys helped me out. Yeah. So then people show up with both an expectation of your effort and for themselves a sense that you are now not just a vendor among possible marketing agencies, but you're an expert. Why? Well, because they told me you're an expert. If I can get to the expert stage and get through the vendor stage as quickly as possible, get to the expert stage, it makes the relationship go much better.
Oh, of course. And they believe you more.
Yeah, for sure.
They don't fight you on what you're trying to tell them.
Yeah, and so for us, we never compete for RFP processes where companies are like, we're taking bids for whatever. You got our number if you want us to do it, hit us up. But we don't try to figure out how little can we do this project for so we can cut this other company out. There's other companies that's completely their strategy. It's up to them. It's fine. For us, it works best when we have somebody who trusts us and somebody that we trust the effort that they're going to put into it, and then we try to make magic happen together. And it's one of the challenges with working with the city, working with the county, which for us, we really want Riverside to be respected, for it to be a destination. It's the reason, we picked the heart of downtown. Yeah. Like we want to be where the action is, and not just be there, but help to build the wave. Like if we can help build the wave, build the momentum, then all the better. But so much stuff for county work, civic work, and all that sort of stuff is RFP process, and they end up getting underserved for it.
Well, that's the problem I think with like the city of Riverside. It's like, I think I mean, we have more people live here than Pittsburgh. Like we're the 5th biggest city in California, right? A lot of people don't know that. Yeah. And it's like maybe I was talking to Justin or someone else. I'm like, dude, the lack of information that Riverside puts out, and I know that's why he's starting the Rain Cross Gazette, but it's like the lack of information that goes on in this city, how big we are. You know nothing what's going on in the city ever.
Sure. Yeah.
The Instagram's terrible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, dude, they could be crushing it.
Yeah.
On just informing the public on what's going on.
Yeah, and they're taking steps forward now. I mean, I'm as excited as anyone could be about, PLD being in office, and I think it is sort of a new energy, but it takes people like you, people like me, it takes business owners, it takes people who have reach to be able to engage people and remind them why Riverside is great. I mean, again, I was not planning on living my life in Riverside. Like it was a pit stop along the way.
You got locked in.
Any other thing,
locked in on this town.
But being here now, I was literally explaining this to my son yesterday. We always talk all the time about my son wants to be an actor, so he's always telling us about where he's going to live in LA, and my daughter wants to live in New York. And then last night at dinner, we were having the same conversation, and my daughter goes, "You know what? I'd actually be fine staying in Riverside. Like, I like it here." And then my son's like, "Yeah, I could get a house, next to you guys, in addition to the house in LA." And the hope is that because they spend a little bit of time with me in the office or come downtown or whatever, that there is an excitement to the city. That's how we grow, is by not letting all the folks who come in learn all of this great stuff at all of our universities, to not let them seep back out to wherever they're going, but keep them here. How do we bolster our economy by investing in new thought, new thinking? How do we build companies like yours, companies like ours, and people that we know and love who are building businesses here? How do we make people be able to spend? I think in Orange County, I think it's 87 cents per dollar stays in Orange County from Orange County residents. And I think in Riverside, it's somewhere under 60, somewhere around 60, maybe.
Well, and I think that's the thing, too, is like I said, I think the stigma of that product's better out there. It's just not. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think people don't realize sometimes you choose to be here. Right?
Absolutely.
Like I could go work anywhere.
For sure.
Right? I've had teams try to hire me by the beach, but I'm like, dude, I stay here because this is what I know. Yeah. Right? I like it here. Yeah. I don't fit in out there. Right. Yeah. This works for me out here.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to make Riverside greater, continue to move it forward. We love the opportunities that we've had with local business owners, big and small, and everything in between. City officials, all the different types of folks that we're trying to work with, to just help be a part of the momentum. Sure. It's a big deal.
So I always, this podcast is here to help people from Riverside who do things big in Riverside. So if a small business owner is listening to this podcast, right, what is some of the best advice you could give them in marketing or strategy, or is it, what is the first step or something that someone can do if they think, because probably people think what you guys do is super, super expensive, and you guys are high, I can't afford a company to come do that for me. Right. So what's some advice you would give to a new business owner just getting started? Try to do your marketing on your own. It's better to reach out to someone. What's some advice you would give?
I think a lot of people jump in and try and think that advertising is the best first step, and it's actually not. I suggest only advertise when you're trying to clear up confusion. What are your office hours? What times are you open? Mm-hmm. Are you discontinuing an item? Are you adding a new item? Are you doing, whatever? That's a time that you can let people know. But just for awareness is probably not the best thing. The absolute best thing any company can do is have a strong core value system that helps them to make wise decisions. Good yeses, good nos. If you have a value system, and by that, I think oftentimes, especially because I came from the church world, people are thinking that I'm talking about Judeo-Christian values. Yeah. I am not. Those are mine. That's not what I'm talking about when it comes to business. What I am talking about when it comes to business is what is your yes and your no? What are the things that you want to be known for? And what ways can you communicate those values so that a customer base will self-select you over the other guy? it used to be that competing for price was one of the best ways to do it. But ultimately what happens is you end up pricing yourself down to the bottom. You can no longer pay employees well. You're not making a profit.
That's what
you're driving
this is what no one cares about money. First,
right.
I'm gonna cut you. No one really cares about money. And
right.
anytime anyone tries to jip me on my money, I always go like, listen, you could drive. You see that Mercedes you drive out there? I used to have one. I know how much that is to get maintenance. It's $800. You could be driving a Honda Civic.
Right.
You just want to feel like you're paying for your service.
Yeah.
No one cares about money.
Yeah. So everybody who's competing for price, there is a better way, and that is competing for values. Now, 15 years ago, it maybe wasn't as much of a big deal. 5 years ago, we really started to see the tide. But I would say over this past year, some of the companies that have really excelled during COVID were companies, businesses, and services that people had a natural affinity for, not just because they knew the people who ran the company or the business or whatever, but because they felt like that what they are doing is also what I'm trying to do. It's also the standard that I'm trying to live to. It's also the level that I'm trying to reach. It is shared values pull the wallets out of people's pockets more than competing for cost, competing for scale, competing for any of these other things. If you can compete for values and find a customer base that shares your values, what are these values? Oftentimes you start talking about values, people think you're talking about politics. Not talking about politics. What I am talking about, though, is when people are able to hear this is what they think, believe, both about their service, their product, and what they think about me as a consumer. If we can create a bridge between those two, people will come across that bridge with money. They want to support things that they feel are supportive of them. I use Nike as an example. It's one of my favorite companies. The moves that they have made have been plotted in such a particular order that it is impossible to misunderstand their worldview or their take on the world. And if you use the Kaepernick thing for an example, I don't care which side of the aisle you're on as far as kneeling, not kneeling, or whatever, it was not happenstance that Nike made the choice that they had made. And it should not have come to a surprise for people that Nike was left-leaning. Just before that, they had created a hijab uniform for female soccer players in the Middle East for them to be able to compete in the World Cup. Before that, they ran a whole ad campaign on access for folks in wheelchairs. Before that, they had it's just like one after the other, they kept marching towards the direction of the Kaepernick decision. And instantly, people said, never again. I'm never buying another thing. Pulled their Nikes, their socks, cut the tops off, lit them on fire, lit their Jordans on fire, lit jerseys on fire, did all that sort of stuff. And then by the end of the week, Nike stock rose 30%. Why? Because you had a whole new batch of people that said,
those are my guys.
I'm with them.
Yeah.
Right? They're with me. Adidas doesn't make that same statement.
No.
Puma doesn't make that statement. Nobody else makes that statement. And so because of that, Adidas, Puma, any of these rest of these companies really work hard to stay in the public eye. Whereas Nike releases shoes on their sneakers app without even telling anybody.
Yeah.
Sell out of 500 pairs in 40 minutes. Sell out of 10,000 pairs in an hour. I'm always on there trying to find new shoes, and I can never push the button fast enough. Yeah. Right? So Nike they spend less on customer acquisition. They spend more on values, on just promoting values, right? Just telling stories, just saying this is what local companies, while they may not have the budget that Nike has, can make those same decisions, especially as it relates to local. Local is as important and more important than global in the first, let's say, 5 years to 10 years of every company. And there's probably a tipping point from a revenue standpoint that I just haven't really researched yet that would say the same exact thing. So that's the first thing is values. And then if you can figure out a way of communicating your values, now you've got an army of people that are self-selecting. Those are my guys. I want to be, with them. They now become your advocates. And not only do you not have to spend money on acquiring your advocates as customers, but they're actually making you money, right? For every person that you serve well, they go and tell someone else. Tell somebody else. So now you're not spending money on that advertising. Nope. That's just coming in dollars in your pocket. As many companies that can change their mindset from we need to get clicks or we need to find viewers or we need to do and get, and instead focus on the advocates, the people who are your regulars, people who know you, people who love you. If you can over deliver to them and get them to start bringing their folks to you, that's the best possible thing. I happen to love Salted Pig, and the day that it was like back open, me and my wife grabbed some friends and came down for a number of reasons. One, I think the steak is great. But two, I also think that they are a part of what we're trying to build in Riverside. Mm-hmm. And we've done the same thing with simple, like Prohibition, Graham's Barbecue. Like every place we fire up is just about every other day I'm there for lunch, right? And the whole entire reason is because I know that we have shared values. Yeah. Shared geography, shared values, shared momentum that we're all trying to build together. More companies can focus on influencing their return customers and growing them into advocates. If you do that, you don't have to spend a dime on advertising. That just continues to turn itself over. Then once you're ready to start talking about marketing, you want to start talking about saturation. You want to really pick a fight. I mean, that's one of our C's as far as building a brand with character, is conflict. It's not managing conflict. It's finding a conflict. Mm-hmm. Like, who do you want to take down? Who do you want to fight against? If you're number 5, who's number 4, and how do we go after him? Boom. Okay, now who's number 3? And by go after him, I don't mean anything nefarious or dirty. I'm not talking about Peaky Blinders sort of stuff. I'm just saying they have figured something out that you haven't figured out. Okay, what do we need to figure out so that we can continue to gain a portion of that market share? To me, that ends up being really the next phase, is once you feel comfortable with who you are, your product, what you're selling, the next phase is, all right, where's our next fight? Like, who do we have to go after? Yeah. What's our, and that's all goal setting and, all of that sort of stuff. And that, again, is an internal choice and decision that then you can build a strategy to figure out where you want to spend money.
Dude, what a pleasure.
Dude.
This won't be the last time. It will not be the last time that you're on this podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, man.
No, man, this is it's awesome to let people know that there's these kind of people in our town and that there's people here to grow the small guys.
We're thinking
and especially
hard.
This year and last year, I think all the small business owners realize like there are people that they're there to help you, and you just got to go out and find them.
We're thinking really, really hard about Riverside and how to make it as best as we can be. So, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. Yeah. I mean, the Gazette is a big gamble. I love the conversation you and Justin had. He was way more composed, than. So oftentimes internally, it's like, we might be lighting this money on fire, but it means a lot to us to try to be able to serve.
You got to take Riverside. A risk.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
appreciate it, brother.
Until next time, guys. Peace.